Hey everyone, welcome to Rewind and Replay. We're three friends bored out of our brains with some thoughts on games. I'm Matan Inbar Hansen. My favorite video game is Super Smash Bros. Melee.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Caitlin, and my favorite game is The Last of Us.
And I'm Adriana, and my favorite game is Dragon Quest V: Hand of the Heavenly Bride. Today we're going to be talking about our favorite quarantine games.
Quarantine games are... Not everything is a quarantine game. Not everything is right for quarantine. But I think Animal Crossing is perhaps the perfect quarantine game.
I won't disagree with you already.
Already, you're gonna throw hands with me already.
I'm already also
Wow.
gonna have to disagree.
I'm going to throw hands with you already.
I'm not saying it's a perfect game. I'm saying it's a perfect quarantine game.
I think it's a perfect 30-day quarantine game.
Yeah. This is like a perfect summer break game.
Well, the quarantine hasn't even been as long as summer break yet.
Yeah, but summer break you can also go outside with your friends and then come back and play this.
But this is, I mean, Animal Crossing has a lot of strengths. And I think one of them is the feeling of control in this little space that you inhabit. You get to go outside, you get to explore other islands, you get to visit your friends, and you have power over what happens in your island. I think all of those are what we need right now in quarantine. That's what I need.
Yes, I would agree with that, except that it can't keep that up. After a few weeks in quarantine, which unfortunately is where we are,
Exactly.
you get bored. But, if you're in a 2-week quarantine because you just traveled and your country isn't as big of a shithole as where we are, it's a great 2-week game.
It really is. I played it for a few days. I got some bells. I did some things. I was on my sister's island. It was pretty fun. And then I stopped.
I won't pretend that it has infinite replayability. The game is limited. I haven't played it in like 6 days. But it just...
And then what is this? You get cockroaches when you leave for too long or something?
Yeah, you can...
Yeah.
People leave, Caitlin.
Yeah.
Leave. I can't open the game ever again.
They really guilt you when you leave for too long. That's sort of their idea, that to try to get you to never leave, but in fact it makes it so that when people do leave, they never come back.
I can never open the game. I refuse to lose them.
It's like shame.
But I wanna make my island as good as I think it can be. I want it to be a point of pride. I want this to be an accomplishment. This, like, having a beautiful island home in this game. And I think, yes, the game puts a lot of barriers in your way such that things that should not take very long take a very long time. But I just think it scratches a particular itch, a coziness that is needed in quarantine.
I actually wish they took a little bit more time. Once I got into Turnip Exchange, that was it. Game was over. I decorated to my heart's content. Full house. I mean, the island looks sick, dude.
Your island is nice.
I wish you could have had your own islands across like different accounts on the Switch. Like, I guess what they were trying to do was like get more people to buy the game. But like me and my sister are sharing the Switch right now. I didn't want to buy my own Animal Crossing game, and then I had nothing to do because her island was like completely furnished by the time I got there.
The second player is a second-class citizen. A friend
Really,
of mine.
truly. My favorite part of the game was going through and just talking to the animals, and I would come up with different accents for each animal, and then I would just sit there and talk to them and then like say their accents out loud. It was really great.
That's some Let's Player shit right there.
Yeah.
That's some I've lost my mind in its quarantine shit right there.
But, look, I will not say that Animal Crossing is a perfect game. I think Animal Crossing is an 8.5 that could have been a 10.
I'd give it more of like a 6 out of 10.
Whoa, that is bold.
That's because she was a second-class citizen.
True, you didn't have the full experience.
Yeah, it's different. I was so happy when I downloaded the game.
I remember.
Man, I had all that updates already. Like, I was like, okay,
I also had like
midnight. Let's
a
go.
month of you guys hyping this game up until I was able to play. It was like jealousy of like, oh my god, I can't play. Like I keep getting these Snapchats about how amazing this game is, and then I came back home, and I finally got to play on a Switch, and then it wasn't it.
And maybe that's on us. Maybe that's on us. We talked it up a little much. I think it was just akin to Pokemon Go, which we'll get into later. It was an event. The game's release was an event.
Yes.
And it was nice to be a part of everyone who was talking about this game and enjoying this game. It was nice to discover along with these people.
Yeah, and I think that's part of it. It's like part of the community of this game, and just being able to share that with everyone, especially when in quarantine, when you can't see all these people in person, and like you have to go on like social media and all these different apps to share this like community with all these people. And I think that was a really big part of it, and why it became such a popular craze at the beginning and still now in quarantine.
Totally.
I literally bought Switch Online so I could go visit other people on Animal Crossing. Like, this was do or die intense. Like, I have nothing else to do except all the things I should be doing and I'm not. Except recruit animals, pay off my loans from the capital of scum, and make everything pretty and beautiful.
I think it's like the sort of like the millennial pipe dream of like home ownership, loans that can be repaid, like sense of community. Like that's, I think, a particular reason this game has resonated so much with millennials and Gen Z. I played it on the 3DS. I played New Leaf. I was kind of late to the Animal Crossing game. I loved it. My ex got me into it. And I loved that game, but I think this game is basically only an improvement on that game. It still has some of the same issues, but I can't see any ways, maybe somebody well-versed in Animal Crossing can correct me. But...
I've played all the Animal Crossing. I've played the Animal Crossing for the Wii, dude.
Is there, that's dedication. Did you play the board game Amiibo one for the Wii U?
I did not have a Wii U.
That's fine.
Some
so
of us are broke. So...
That's fine. So you're a fake. It's fine. You're just a fake fan. It's whatever. So,
but I would agree. These games only get better. I think. I mean, they couldn't have known quarantine was coming. But one of those, unless
conspiracy theory, Animal Crossing started coronavirus.
Nintendo, really. I mean,
are there any bat
people
villagers?
are playing games.
True.
No, but. The one for the Wii in particular was you like the shopping center was like a literal city that you could go visit.
Was that City Folk?
I think the sure, I'm terrible with titles.
Okay.
Great. But like the selling point of the game, right, has always been you are in the wilderness with these animals. Like trees are iconic, and this Animal Crossing, like you're literally on a deserted island. Like it hyped that up to the max that it could be. And during quarantine, like that sense of nature that I just like literally cannot go get in my giant neighborhood right next to a fucking freeway, was beautiful.
Sure.
Our park has like 5 trees.
Yeah, I don't. Yes, Animal Crossing has it's a niche that only it does. Like Stardew Valley is, not entirely dissimilar, and Harvest Moon has elements of similarity, but Animal Crossing really is its own. It is the only game of its kind that is successful, as far as I know.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
It's way more simple than the other games you mentioned. Like there is significantly less to do.
And there's strength in that.
Yeah.
All right, Caitlin, you've been playing Sims 4.
I have a lot. It has been getting me through this quarantine.
Can you tell us about the cursed creatures you've decided to create?
Oh dear. So I did some experimentation with the pet functions that you can do with Sims 4, and I went a little too far. I turned into Frankenstein, and I created Frankenstein's monster, and what did I name it? Banana.
Banana. Yeah, we'll be sharing photos of the iconic
Banana.
We'll link in the description.
Oh god, she's a real sight there.
Insane. I just remember I think playing Animal Crossing, and I got a Snapchat in our group chat, and I just like checked it casually, and it was honestly like a guttural reaction to that sort of like eldritch monstrosity.
She's my child, and I'm proud of her. And yeah, go ahead.
What was the base that you started from to make this creature?
It was a small dog. I remember that.
I remember there's a function where you can like mix types of dogs, and so I think I did like, what was it, like a wolf, and so it was something that was like not like a household dog, and then like a huge dog.
Wow.
I think
like a Bernese Mountain dog, and then like a wolf or something.
I don't want to think about the mechanics of that.
Yeah, it was not. I mean, I love her with all my heart, and then I turned her like pink, and then put some like parrots on her butt, and then like.
I think Anna Banana highlights why we're all addicted to The Sims 4, right?
Oh, 100%.
Cass, who doesn't love character creation, I mean, that is the shit. There are so many options, especially if you download extra shit. I
will say though, if just real quick about like how much you can customize in Sims 4. Did you guys play Sims 3?
I did not.
Tangentially.
Okay, because Sims 3 had way more customizable stuff. And like it bothers me going to Sims 4 that they took all that away, because like hair color, you only have like 12 options or something, maybe a little bit more. When Sims 3, you got like the entire color wheel and could like pick whatever color you wanted. You could give like highlights to your Sims. Like you could do any color, and like going to Sims 4, that was kind of a disappointment.
Yeah, that is super disappointing. I think that's why adding in mods to the game has been so popular. I don't know if you've gotten a chance to like play around with that. I did a couple years ago.
Yeah, I recently got into it. I didn't. I was always too lazy to figure it out, and I was like, "Ooh, downloading things on the computer, that's scary." Yeah, and then I finally like figured it out, and like it's cool. I haven't been able to get it to like work too well on like some hairstyles work, but some hairstyles like as soon as you go into like gameplay,
they look ugly.
Yeah, it's not great.
No, it's really too bad.
I have a friend who was a diehard Sims fan. He like played almost entirely Sims. That was his favorite game, and this was in middle and early high school. And he was I think he entered in on Sims 3, and then he went back and got into Sims 2, because apparently for diehard Sims fans, like Sims 2 is the best, which I think is interesting. And then he really complained about Sims 4 because, like Caitlin said, they took away some of the customization. They tried to make it more accessible, and I think that's not inherently an issue. It's just I think that's kind of the toss-up that a lot of series face of, do we want to cater to the fans, or do we want to try to expand our fan base and potentially ruin our relationship with our diehard fans?
I mean, you'd have to point out some more specific things, because like what Caitlin was saying with the color wheel, that is pretty intuitive and not that hard to integrate.
Yeah, I was like 13 when Sims 3 was out, and like I was figuring it out.
Sure. Yes, I think it's more just like their perception. Like, why else would they cut it besides accessibility?
Right. Yeah.
It's imagined, hypothetical accessibility. But I think Sims is evidence that God is not one of us. Like we are,
we are God.
We are not meant to be God.
God, it is the reason I believe we live in a simulation.
I will trap Anna Banana in a basement with no windows or doors.
Put her in the pool.
Set it on fire.
Put her in the pool, take out the ladder. Yeah.
They took that out in The Sims 4. That bothers me. The Sims can just walk out of the pool now.
Well, okay, that's...
Like people?
I mean, yeah, right,
like real people.
Well, next thing you know, Sims are going to think they have rights.
Right.
But the beautiful thing, you can still trap them in a room with an easel, have an art goblin that funds your money without actually cheating.
Elaborate.
So true.
I mean, okay, a hot strategy, right?
Please.
Okay, so you make your sim, right? Your persona, you start a job and you realize, man, shit's really expensive. I want like a multi-million-dollar home. Like, come on, let's do this, right? So you just find like the mailman or whoever, it's just walking by on the street. You get really friendly with them. You get them to move into your household. You give them a room with like some things in it, you know, like maybe a microwave, a toilet, an easel, because painting is like one of the best ways to make money in this game. Then you take out the door and you just have them there as your art gremlin until you feel like they can go away in whatever your preferable method is.
Wow. That's a strat.
It is a strat.
It really is.
I think that's another great thing about The Sims. What are morals? You do you, bro.
Yeah.
Sims, you occupy kind of an interesting space in Sims where you are God, but also you are your people. Like you control them, but also are not them. Which is kind of interesting which is kind of an interesting perspective.
I mean, if you're getting into research that I actually do in real life, so I want to talk your ear off.
Go for it.
I shouldn't do it.
I mean, maybe we could save that for another podcast.
Right.
Good tease.
Yeah.
Tune in next week for Adriana's 45-minute rant.
Yep.
All right.
The player, the persona, and the person.
It kind of gets close to like D&D because you are your character and like it gets similar into that, and then like the DM is like controlling the world like a god.
Yep. For those of you who don't know, I'm studying Dungeons and Dragons professionally. What a sentence.
Yep.
Wow.
And
me and Matan are not, but we play D&D with Adriana.
We do. And she's only killed me once.
Yeah, it's fine. You're alive.
Finally.
See, but if this were The Sims, you'd be dead.
Is there reanimation?
Unless you flirted with death, and then you could stop him from taking you.
That's smart.
Or become a vampire.
Oh, I remember the vampire werewolf expansions. Which
werewolf?
Weren't there werewolves?
I
don't remember werewolves.
So.
I'm like 85% sure
that could have been. I think that might have been like a Sims 2 thing.
Yeah,
Sims 2 had some cool things. That had like magic and like
this one has magic. You didn't get the magic pack? I
know I do, but the Sims 2 magic pack was better.
Oh,
I don't know. This one's cool too. I just haven't gotten super into it, but I remember the Sims 2 one was like really fun. I was super into that one.
It's a good game. Good games. Sims 5 win.
Honestly.
Agreed.
Anyways, let's move on to our next one. I think this is one all of us have been playing a lot recently. Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild.
I need to bring up that I was robbed emotionally. I've been borrowing Breath of the Wild from my partner, and he took it back so his brother could play it.
No.
Oh, how far are you? How many hours do you think?
Not too far.
Okay.
Not too far. I would think I was 15 hours in maybe, and then finals hit, and I stopped playing. So, I mean, I agreed to this. I was not actually robbed, but there's a little hole in my heart.
Yeah, that's rough. Where were you in the game?
Sorry.
You asking me what I had done, probably the better outcome than me flip-flopping around.
Have you done any of the Divine Beasts?
Yes, one of them.
Do you remember which one? Because you can do any order.
That is a beautiful point of the game, and no, I don't.
Okay.
That's okay. I mean, you weren't super far in then, but that's still rough.
I had just done one of it. Things were getting exciting. I got my second power up. Yeah. It's okay, though.
The game,
that's rough.
I have not been playing it recently either because I lent it to my brother over the he got a Switch.
These
and
brothers really be doing
I know.
this.
I really
Really?
know. I lent it to my brother because he had just gotten a Switch and he had wanted to play it. This is what frustrates me about my brother. He's better at video games than I will ever be, and he plays them less than I do. He has this natural knack. He is better at basically every game. Really, I really hope he doesn't listen to this.
Hold on,
We'll
is he a
send it to
younger
him,
or
don't
older
you worry.
sibling?
So he's my stepbrother. He's 3 months older, so effectively the same
Okay.
age.
I was gonna say, I feel like younger siblings are just always better at video games.
Yes. Well, I'd hope so. I'd wish, but he picks up games in 2 seconds. And so he was into all the pro strats and glitching in Breath of the Wild.
Nice.
So he would do that bomb drop thing where you like drop a bomb, stop, drop another bomb, and then when you're in the air and then detonate them both, and you just like go flying. It's like a
dang,
speedrun
that's
strat.
cool.
And he like beat it in like 2 weeks.
Wow.
Dang.
That game is one of the greats.
Yeah, and
Forever.
I mean, that's one of the great things about it for Quarantine is it's such a long game and like there's so much to explore. There's so much story to it too. And like that's what I love about it is like you can go and find like those memories. Like that was one of my favorite parts of the game was like going around and finding the different memories.
That was cool.
And,
like lining stuff up totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I just
think-
recently restarted playing it and like there's just so much that like because I played it when it first came out, so it's been a few years since I've played.
Very nice.
And there's just so much that like I don't even remember doing. And like I'm not very far yet. I like haven't even gone the paraglider yet. So I'm still I'm like just about to get it. But like there's still so much.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what we've been talking about for the other quarantine games, especially Animal Crossing, like this open world format rich with not only nature, which I think a lot of us are missing out on right now, but some sense of like order and structure and control is just so appealing in these games.
Yeah, and like I'm a huge fan of story in games, and like I love Sims, and like that's fun to play. But there's like you can do whatever. There's no story to that. Like you can make your own story.
Yeah, I was gonna say make your own story. Come on, let's do it.
Honestly, which is great. But like there's no overall story of the game. You just play, which is great. And it's great for quarantine, but I also love Breath of the Wild because it's so open and so long to play, but there's still so much story to it. And like you're always like unraveling different parts of the story and finding different things out. And like, it's just so good.
Yeah, I agree.
I had a great experience. I didn't get it for a couple of years. I was a couple of years late to the Switch. I really wanted one as soon as it came out. But when it did release, I was at University of Washington. That was the first university I went to.
Loser.
And I was sitting in the dining hall with my roommate, and we were chatting, and I was telling him about how much I wanted to get a Switch, how much I wanted to try a Switch. And then somebody tapped me on the back, it tapped me on the shoulder from behind, and I turned around, and this guy was like, "Hey, I couldn't help but overhear you saying you wanted to try a Switch. Do you want to try mine?" And it was so nice. And this random guy just let me play Breath of the Wild on his Switch for like 30 minutes. And it was so much fun. And I never saw him again. But hey, shout out to that guy. You were in the 8th.
Maybe he's listening.
In January of 2017. Shout out to this dude.
What a nice guy.
It was great.
That's epic, dude. He's a legend.
He was. It was very sweet.
Wow.
Breath of the Wild, there's so many, that game takes so many steps that have spoiled other open world games for me.
Really?
Being able to climb anything, you can't go back to like, oh, guess I can't go over this 2-foot rock, or like being able to just jump off anything and glide down, like it's just so good. Walking around, moving in that game is so good.
I will say I also recently played Ocarina of Time, which does not have a jump button. So then when I came and started playing Breath of the Wild, I keep forgetting you have to click to jump, and I've walked off a few like cliff sides.
Oh, I will say though, when I was trying to find, I'm terrible with names, you guys. I'm terrible, but that like first proper city that or town that you get to visit, I went. I have no fucking clue.
Okay, I don't
remember. It's been
but I went the wrong way because like there are no roads on the map. So I went through the swamp. And
roads on the map.
But like a lot of them,
Okay.
I just went the wrong
All right.
direction, man.
Sure,
It
sure.
happens. But I went through the swamp, and so I was at like the back, and I did my best to climb that mountain. It could not be done.
Yeah, I mean, but it couldn't be done for you then.
Wow, rude.
It
All
couldn't be
right.
done because you're
I
super,
needed more stamina. Yes.
you needed more stamina.
And
If you had brought a
like
bunch
some
of
quick
food.
climbing clothes.
Yeah. Right.
Yes, I get what you mean though, but it's like that game is. This really bothered me about Kingdom Hearts 3, and it bothers me about some older games. I understand that there were technical limitations, but I digress. I hate invisible walls. I hate invisible walls in games. I hate when you walk somewhere and you either can't, or it like makes you turn around and your character says like, "Oh, I should really focus on the task." Like, shut the fuck up. Give me a reason that I can't go there. And that's what I think Breath of the Wild does. It's form meeting function. It's like, you can't go here because you don't have the stamina to climb it right now, and you can do it when you do. Like, I think that's another strength of the game. It does feel very open. It feels very immersive in that doesn't rely on some of those some annoying game tropes.
Yeah, like I remember hearing like when it was first starting to be advertised and like seeing trailers for it, and it was like, if you see like that mountain in the distance, you can go to it. Like whatever you see in the game, you can go to it. And I was like, that's just so cool. And I was so excited to play that, and like it held up when I played it. Like like what you were saying, it's just so like good. It just works.
Legend of Zelda, we love you.
Yep. Shout out to Zelda. Shout out.
Yeah.
Shout out to Zelda.
My queen.
Yes. Yeah. Just quick aside to Breath of the Wild 2. That trailer was very nice. If you don't get to play as Zelda in Breath of the Wild 2, well, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'll still buy the game, but I will not.
So you won't do anything.
I will be a little bit frustrated. Can you imagine being able to play as like magic wielding Zelda with that cute short haircut, fighting Ganon, killing it? Oh, that would be so much fun. What games can you play as Zelda in? You can play Zelda in Smash.
What was the one like it was on the Wii U, and it was like Hyrule Warriors or something.
Hyrule Warriors.
Yeah, is that what it was called? Okay.
Wow.
I know, we're trash. Yeah.
Good call though,
I didn't know
Caitlin.
I was missing out.
I don't have a Wii U,
that was
but
like,
I know. Sorry.
Yeah, I did have a Wii U. Me and Megan split the price and bought it.
Good.
And the Hyrule Warriors, that one was fun, and you could play as like all the different characters.
It's a Muso game. It's like, yes, you could play as a bunch of different versions too, which is fun.
Yeah,
that's right.
Cool.
I totally forgot about Hyrule Warriors. But yeah, you can't play as Zelda and fuck all. I want to play hashtag Zelda for Breath of the Wild 2.
That's a really long hashtag.
Hashtag Zelda #4 BOTW 2. Yeah.
There you go.
Number hashtag again 2.
Yeah. But in short, that game is genius and near perfect.
It's fantastic.
One game that I have played that I know, Adriana, you have some experience with, I'm not sure if you do, Caitlin, is Civilization 5.
Yeah, we need to convert Caitlin.
Yeah, I've never played this before.
Yeah.
I really don't even know what it's about, so...
Yeah, I've put in probably 50 hours, and I don't either, so...
Smart! Matan, you brought it up, go for it.
Okay. Civ 5 is like the most complicated board game you can imagine, and yes, don't yell at me in the comments. I know that there are way more complicated board games, but that's not the point. It is this insanely detailed turn-based strategy game.
Those were words you said.
I'm
also
sorry,
saying,
please don't kill me, but what can you play this on? Like, what console is this?
PC.
So I bought Civilization 6 while it was on sale recently during quarantine. It was also free on Epic for a little bit.
I got it on Epic.
Yeah, and we still need to play. But one of the selling features for Civ 6 was that it could be cross-platform, so you can actually like play on other things. I mean, yeah, I have a PC, so like I couldn't tell you what other consoles it's on, but I have
It's
a
on
friend
PS4.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a friend who plays it on his MacBook. Unfortunately, something with one of the new updates is currently preventing Mac and Windows crossplay.
They
Yeah.
added a restriction.
I think it's probably something with a bug. Hopefully it'll get fixed soon because like that, if they don't, oof, because that was one of the selling points for me, right? Like I can play with friends who don't have it on there, like who have different systems from me. Which like is an anchor point for games like Overwatch.
For sure.
Yeah. So Caitlin, like in theory, you could play it on your computer.
But it's it's really it's a lot of you pick at the beginning. You pick like a civilization that you play as. So like the Mongols or the British or
America, whatever.
America or the Spanish, and you. Each civ has like a bonus that is particular to sort of that civilization's history, which is cool. It's always interesting to see what sort of bonuses, how they gamify history.
Yeah.
And then you basically compete with AI and other players to try to win. You can win in a variety of ways. Help me out, Adriana, but there's
diplomatic victory, science victory, culture victory. Honestly, I think those are, or just all-out war. I think, in my opinion, those are the only victories worth going for. There's religion, which can be fun sometimes. In Civ 6, you have like a combat feature for religion when you're like competing in a different city. Yeah, when you're competing in a different city with another person, AI, whatever. And like you can have them attack each other. It's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, I almost always personally go for the diplomatic victory because I just like to befriend the city-states.
I had a really that game. It takes playing one game of one full game of that game takes
forever.
How long would you say, Adriana? Like.
I'd say it depends on whether you're playing with actual people or not, and your personal settings layout. If we're going with other people, right, and it's just like the default, I'd say upwards of like 10 hours if I'm doing like a full game.
I'd say 15 probably.
Yeah.
Like that game is so long and so complex. But like I've been learning every time I've played. I was playing with two friends. We had one game that was going for a while, and then the one friend who's played this game for like 1,000 hours won. Surprise, surprise. Right. And then we kept restarting to try to get a good start for all of us. And I was actually, I got really frustrated. I was playing Polynesia, which is a DLC one that's big on culture. And you get culture, you get different policies. It helps you out with city-states. And I was playing culture, and my friend was like, hey man, like I basically it was kind of an open secret that he was going to attack me at some point.
Sure.
But I was trying to, and I should add this as well, our friend who got us into the game, who had 1,000 hours, he was playing Venice, which is very unique and very hard to play. So we actually had a shot at winning because he
picked a handicap
himself, right?
Yeah.
So I'm doing actually really well. And I know he's going to come at me at some point.
Yeah.
But it always feels like there's something else that I should be spending my resources on. It's always like, oh, I have to get this to get this culture bonus. I'll make another military unit later. Oh, wait, but now I have to do this thing because I just got this science. I can make this. I can make it. And so I had only a couple military units. And then I asked him, I was like, hey, man, like, are you, just between friends, are you planning on attacking me anytime soon? And he was like, yes, this turn. And I look at one of my cities, and he has all these ships right on my border.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
And
no offense, how didn't you notice?
Because he was England, and he has these incredibly good ships. Man at Wars, I think they're called. Insanely good ships. They're really fast. They do so much damage. He controlled the seas. And we were playing on an archipelago map. Right, exactly. It's England.
Yeah.
We're playing an archipelago though, so it's all tiny islands. So like all my cities are on different land masses.
Yeah, you really didn't see it coming.
So we had fought for a long, long time. Basically, because we fought for so long and spent so many resources just trying to kill each other, our other friend ended up winning.
Right, of course.
But I ended up, all my cities were taken. I ended up fleeing with one great general. I ended up on a one-tile island that made chocolate, and I was like, eventually, in-game, I'm going to start a coup, and my great general will reclaim his homeland.
But what a great narrative that is, because that last sentence, one, I want to live on a chocolate island. Just personal preference.
Heck yeah.
But two, like forming a coup, like losing your country. Like, wow, that's like,
so
those are the epic proportions that Civ can bring you
Right.
to.
I mean, I ended up rage quitting because I was so mad. I mean, not at him. He was just trying to play the game, and I get that. But this is one thing that frustrates me with Civ. It's sort of a necessary evil. I spend so much time. I'd probably spent 10 hours building up my Civ and like setting things up so that this would happen. And then because of the war, that was all for naught. It was all for nothing. And I was mad. I was just like, I mean, I wasn't mad at him. I was just like, you guys just play. I'm going to go cry.
Yeah, I mean, and again, going back to Quarantine, I think that's part of what makes it epic, right? Like I'm sure when you were playing the 10 hours, it was like 10 seconds. Because that's how it is for me, right? Like I'll play and it'll be 4 in the fucking morning.
Good point.
And I think, I mean, Caitlin, like Matan has mentioned, a lot of strategy, but it's actually pretty beginner friendly, especially when you're playing with AI or when you're playing with like more sympathetic friends.
Yeah, I mean, this sounds really fun though. I love games that have the strategy like that. Like,
yeah,
I want to take some countries down.
Yeah, it's really fun. It's also like in the beginning, especially if you're playing with someone who will give you tips, like it's pretty easy to just focus on doing small things, not thinking about the long term. I think the biggest helpful tip I like ever got was when you build your first city, you want to build a slinger, a worker, and a settler on loop. So you want to do those. Yes. Occasionally, depending on how resource rich you are, you can swap out the worker for another military unit. That I've been doing that consistently, and it works out beautifully. Yeah.
How many settlers? But if you make so many cities that early on, aren't you gonna like have so much unhappiness?
No, because unhappiness is not, at least in my experience, I've heard some people struggle with it, but from what I've been doing, hasn't been that much of a problem in Civ 6. This is for Civ 6, not Civ 5.
Okay.
This is for Civ 6.
Okay.
Because with the workers, you will have enough housing, which I don't think is a thing in Civ 5.
Housing is not a thing.
Yeah, so we have in Civ 6 housing and amenities to keep to up the happiness.
Interesting.
So between housing and amenities and whatever resources you have, you should be okay on happiness.
Okay.
Again, like I just played a game where like people were having issues with unhappiness. They were also fighting other people. So like,
that doesn't help.
Don't go into war early on. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, it's great game. Very, very hard, but you get the hang of it. And like you said, it's good for quarantine because time really does fly.
Mm-hmm. And I also feel like it's good because you can play it with friends, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's a lot of silence as everyone is doing all their turns. And then once somebody finishes their turn, they're like, come on, guys, finish up. God.
That's me.
Yep. You finish early? You're early?
100%.
I got a lot of shit for being the late one for a while. And even though I'm often not anymore, it's now sort of my Civ identity. Like everybody still assumes that I'm holding everyone up now. Very different game. Swinging totally the opposite direction. Pokemon Go. Pokemon Go is great. Don't at me.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh.
At Matan.
Don't at me.
Hey, I'm with him on this. I did not play this game for the longest time. Like, I was obsessed when it first came out, just like everyone else. And then I quickly stopped playing, like a lot of people. And because it was great for like a month. And then it just kind of died down because there was nothing else to do on the game. And then recently, like this last year, Baton, you and one of our other friends, Gary, got me back into this.
Oh, I need to be friends with Gary. I'm not friends with Gary on there.
You are? Oh, you have to add him. Yeah. Oh my gosh, you guys got me so back into this. I've gotten my mom into this. Like, we will just go on walks to the park across the street. We'll literally just drive around, get Pokestops, find Pokemon. Oh, it's
so I had that experience like you did, Caitlin. I just haven't been hooked back into it. And I don't think I will be able to be hooked back into it despite both of your guys' best efforts. Listen. I think right now during quarantine is like actually the optimal time to play it. If I wasn't against the game, like I would be playing it. It really gets you like go take a walk, go explore. I think that's beautiful. That was definitely one of the selling points when it first came out for me. But like looking on it now as not, you know, whatever, how old we were in high school at that point in time. Like I don't know that I like that the shopping center next to me is Pokestop, but not other area. Like there's a capitalist consumerist feel to it that I'm just not down for.
You guys know the term food deserts, yeah?
Sure, but why don't we explain?
Okay.
Accessibility and, you know.
Right. And again, help me out here. But a food desert is like an area often in the inner cities in which access to like healthier foods is limited. Often, there's no Trader Joe's on the corners, it's all like liquor stores and corner shops, and there's not, fast food restaurants. There's not a lot of healthy or affordable, healthy and affordable food.
A similar way to think about it, low resources, few options, being bullied into buying certain things.
Right. Well, where I'm going with this is there are Pokemon Go deserts. They basically overlap with food deserts in that a lot of areas of the inner city do not have any Pokestops or Pokemon gyms or even Pokemon spawns. I lived kind of not in Compton, but by Compton for a while. Pokemon would not spawn at my house. I'd have to go around the corner to the church if I wanted to get any Pokemon.
Yeah, that's funny. I like never get any Pokemon at my apartment. Like I get a few, but if I walk across the street to the park that has a church at it, like I get a ton of Pokemon. And there's a Pokestop and a gym at the church. And like there's so many Pokemon there.
Jesus loves Pokemon.
Jesus loves Pokemon. It's also like a living advertisement that if you want to play the game, you have to cope with, right? Like I mean, I actually love exercise now, thanks to Caitlin, but I don't want to get a gym membership. But I can definitely see myself being tempted if I have to walk however many blocks you walk to the church and the gym to get Pokemon, right? Like, there's only so much you can do.
Well, sure. Yes, there's this game. Here, I've got a theory. I've got a crazy theory, conspiracy theory. Hear me out. Benjamin Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel, played Pokemon Go in its peak. I think that the Gaza Strip has fantastic Pokemon spawns. And I think the Israeli government is occupying the Gaza Strip so that Benjamin Netanyahu can get his Dragonite. That's my theory. If I disappear before next week, you know what happened to me.
That's so funny.
That's not where I don't know where I thought you were going with it, but
honestly,
that's funny. Yeah.
That's the deep state. They play Pokemon Go.
Sure.
Who
doesn't play Pokemon Go?
My girlfriend got me into it when we started dating, and she is addicted to shiny Pokemon. There's a lot of different ways you can play this game. There's the people who min-max, who are all about battling. There's the people who, are focused primarily on the challenges you get. My girlfriend is focused on shinies. And in our sort of friend group, in a group of 4 or 5, 6 people who play, there's sort of developed this shiny economy. For those who don't know, shiny Pokemon are Pokemon that have the palette swap. They're different colors. from their regular version, and they're super rare. And so she will, like, if I get one that she wants, she will, like, beg me for it. She will not let up. She lives and dies for shiny Pokemon.
My mom caught a shiny Chimchar the other night. I was so jealous.
I've got
It
some
was
extras
pink.
from Community Day. Yeah, if you
Ooh.
want one, I've got some extras.
Yes, please.
Your mom plays? That's awesome.
Yeah, I got her into it.
Oh, speaking of moms, I actually want to revisit Animal Crossing a little bit. One of our mutual friends was telling me, or us, I can't remember, that her mom actually comes home from work on Saturdays, and it's now like a routine they have my friends, our friend Sierra, has a KK Slider concert like prepared for her for when she walks through the door.
Oh,
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's so cute.
It is really cute.
Bonding, yeah.
Oh, we should do a mom video game podcast
Yeah.
episode.
I watched, there's this great, check them out, YouTube channel, Easy Allies. They do a lot of games media, and they had a podcast where one of the guys brought his 2 parents on, and they talked about their perceptions of video games and like what they think he does for a living. And I think that was a fun idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, my parents have never been into video games. They were kind of opposed, actually, not entirely, but I could never, when I was a kid, I could never play the shooting games at arcades. I was never allowed to play those.
Yeah, my parents didn't let me get into shooting games until I was a little older.
I always had to follow, yeah, totally. I always had to follow the, what is it, ESRB? Which one is that? I had to follow those ratings. Like I couldn't get an E10 and up game until I was 10. I got a Game Boy. That was my first game system, Game Boy. And then my first console, I bought myself a GameCube. I saved up for that. And they got me some games for it.
Yeah, I think being a parent right now is really hard.
Yeah.
What you do and do not allow your child to consume. It's really tricky. Growing up, I had like no restrictions, zero. And maybe because my mom, she's from a different country, she didn't know. I mean, she came here really early. We've been here for a very long time. But like games were just like, I don't know, go play it. Like she wasn't gonna check the game description for me. She'd just buy it.
Did you play anything that you should not have played at a young age? Was there anything that like scarred you?
In terms of games, I don't think so. Just because I tend to be more into RPGs and narrative games, and I mean those are deep and emotional, but I don't think in like a scary way.
No like Resident Evil, no Silent Hill.
Nah, not my kind of thing.
Yeah.
However, like with television, I'm pretty sure I was watching NCIS at like 5.
Oh yeah, no, my mom loves those type of shows.
Right.
I was scarred a few times by those.
For sure. I mean, I was this was the only thing my mom ever fought me on. I was such a Game of Thrones fan, and she'd be mad when she caught me watching it, but also like we watched it together. I was like 11 when it came out, and I was watching Game of Thrones. Oops.
Oh no, my parents were like strictly against me watching that. I didn't start watching it until I was maybe like 15 or 16, and I started behind their back, and then they eventually like found out when I was like 17, and they were like, at this point we can't stop you.
Right.
Yeah. But also, I mean, I think that might have been some of the influence growing up, like playing fantasy games. It's just like, this is not too far off.
Well, my dad was really into video games. That's how I got into them. He used to have Nintendo 64.
Cool.
Yeah, and the first game I ever played all the way through was Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time on the Nintendo 64. Yeah.
A classic.
I know.
Yeah, N64 is a great system. I really hope I have an SNES Classic. I really would love it if they made an N64 Classic and eventually a GameCube Classic, because I think those things would fly off the shelves. But Nintendo,
you just want to help the capitalists.
Yeah.
My
sad story about my N64 is we had it for like when we were really young, me and my sister. We would play it all the time. We had our friend who was our neighbor across the street, whose name was also Caitlin, and she would come over and play, and we would play Legend of Zelda. We had this Pokemon Stadium game, if you guys remember that one.
A classic, yeah.
Yes, so fun. One of our neighbors stole it when we went over to her house to play it. Yeah, she stole it. Claimed she didn't have it. Yeah, we knew she stole it, but we like could never get it back. We would like try to like go over there and like play like games with her, but then like one of us would like try to go find it and take it back, but we would always like get caught by her mom or something.
Jeez.
Yeah, their family was sketch.
That's heartbreaking.
Yeah, I don't know how much we should put that in the podcast.
That's good. I like that.
I never say her name. It's fine.
Right.
That's true.
But she lives at 546.
Yeah.
999.
She was later arrested.
What for? Stealing?
Yeah, I think so. And then drugs. Back to the Pokemon game.
Yes, Stadium.
Eventually, we found the game at like a local game store. It was like, it wasn't GameStop. It was another game store chain that used to be popular, but they shut down.
Was that EB Games?
Maybe, I don't remember.
GameStop bought them. And
yeah, it might have been that.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know. It was because I remember it wasn't GameStop, but it was something else that used to be around. And like we had been looking for this game, like Pokemon Stadium there, but they never had it. And eventually one time they finally had it and we bought it. And we came home. We were so excited. We put it in. We like had Caitlin come over. We were playing the game. Literally like 30 minutes after turning it on, our N64 broke.
No.
Wow. It just like died. It was just old because we'd had it for like 10 years.
Wow.
And it was, yep.
Caitlin, that's heartbreaking.
It was,
oh my god.
And I've never played the game since.
Oh.
So sad.
Alright, so the next game we're playing with you.
Yeah, Pokemon Stadium. Let's play.
So heartbreaking.
That game. I played. Nobody talked about this one. I feel like it was a fucking fever dream. Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness for Nintendo GameCube. Oh my
god! Yes, I remember that.
It was another like. I just remember how crazy it was because I was so used to the sprite work on like the game, Game Boys and DSs, which was great sprites. But then seeing them 3D rendered. Like was insane to me at the time, and you could catch other trainers' Pokemon if they were shadow Pokemon. It was crazy.
That's shady.
Yeah,
I haven't played that game, but that sounds shady.
But they were only shadow Pokemon if they were like sad or like mistreated or something.
Oh, okay.
Is this the one? I might be thinking of Pokemon Stadium that they like redid for GameCube. I'm not sure, but is it the one where the girl like follows you around at one point, like because you can control like her following you? I don't know. I remember.
I have no recollection of that.
Okay, because I remember at one point she was like following my character around, and then I like trapped her in a room and just left her.
The Sims. It's The Sims.
Honestly, yeah, because she follows you around, but like there's like a little gap. So one time I like put her like in a doorway, and then I like moved to the other side. And so she was like following me, but she was behind the wall now, and then I just walked away.
Incredible.
If anyone knows what the hell Caitlin's talking about, please tell us.
Yeah, please. Because I know it was a Pokemon game, but I'm not sure if it's the one Matan was talking about. It was on GameCube, but it's been a hot minute since I've touched a GameCube.
Right, same.
Not for me. I'm a big Smash Brothers Melee fan.
That was my favorite Smash Brothers.
It is the best. There's not... okay, I'm not going to be too pretentious about this. Ultimate is a great game. All the Smash games are great, but Melee has the most depth, the highest skill ceiling. It also has a pretty high skill floor, to be fair. But that's probably the game I've put the most time into ever.
Ever? Like total?
Yeah. I mean, not ever for me, but I agree it's the best of the Smash games.
One of my earliest memories was playing that game when I was 3 years old at my friend's house.
Wow, that's young.
Yeah. And I put it down for a while. Yeah, my uncle was dying, so they left me with a friend.
I was going for the fact that I didn't think the GameCube came out when
it came out that year. It came out 2001.
Okay.
Or at least
I don't think I got it when
I was just surprised. I was just surprised a 3-year-old knew what to do, but okay.
I barely did. Also, my uncle didn't die. So, putting that out there.
Yes, that's good.
That's good, yeah.
But
I must have gotten it a little later because I remember getting it when I was more like 6, maybe. I don't know.
I didn't. Yeah,
Probably
that's about when I
it
got it for myself. Right. But then, yeah, I picked it back up in high school, and my friend group, Smash is kind of it was kind of our great unifier. Our friend group came together to like play Smash Bros. That was how we started.
We still do.
We still do too, but that was like the beginning. That was like the origin. Got a lot of
God, my friend group in high school didn't even play video games.
Clearly, you were hanging out with the wrong friends. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Yeah.
Hey, I'm still friends with some of them. They're still cool. They just are. They were band nerds, not nerds.
I think it's really interesting that all the games we picked, with the exclusion of Civ 5, are series, right? Like there's a ton of them. We've just picked the most recent ones, and they're also, I don't want to say kid games, right? But they are games that either started for us when we were children or still really popular with the younger demographic. I think that really speaks to what we need during quarantine. Like, we don't necessarily need something like Dark Souls. Although, you know, you can get fucked up in The Sims and Civ, right? But
then it's your own morality that you're dealing with instead of the morality of the video game you're playing.
That's a different kind of darkness.
And it gets real dark.
That's a good point, Adriana. That is a good point.
It is, yeah. And I think a lot of it is the nostalgia of these games.
And it's a good vibes. Like, again, the world is really hard right now. That's not a hot take. But it's nice to have somewhere comfortable to go.
Yeah, like when I walk outside and I see a squirrel, I get so excited. I'm like, oh my god, it's a squirrel.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I think I hope that's something that we keep with us after quarantine.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how much you guys know about like myths and whatever, but what's pretty common with like fairies is that only children can see them, right? And then when you grow up, when you're an adult, you forget, like Mary Poppins, right?
Right.
Forget.
Or
the
Polar
joys of
Express.
Yeah, right.
It's a Charmed episode with the fairies.
Yes. Big Charms fan. But I think
gotta watch it.
I know.
I think that's kind of what's great about quarantine. I mean, not that like quarantine's terrible, right? But if we're looking on the upsides at all, it's a lot of people are now playing games. And a lot of the games that they're playing are, Animal Crossing, The Legend of Zelda. Like, there are these friendly, happy, childlike games where you just get to relax.
Yeah,
totally.
Sure.
And from that, we're going into a dark, violent game about hatred, and that is The Last of Us Part 2.
Epic.
I am so excited.
So it got here. Just a little bit of background. I have avoided leaks as best I can. And
I have seen none.
I haven't seen anything.
Good to hear. I've even I watched the trailers for a while, but the most recent, I think 2 trailers, I have not watched because I'm sold on the game, Like, I don't think they're going to spoil that much for me, but I just want to go in as fresh as can be.
I think they're being very, very careful about what they're showing because I was very similar to you. I don't want to overdo it with what I'm watching, but I did watch the recent state of play that they did. I watched that.
Right.
And that was really interesting. And I think they were super careful about what they showed, which I appreciated, especially with all the leaks that have been happening. I'm just go ahead with what you were saying. I forget where I was going with that.
A friend of mine worked on the game. He was what was his title? Like story designer? Like he did story and level.
The dream job. Madame.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. The job no one has.
He worked. I mean, again, the talk about Naughty Dog and Crunch, that shit's real. They worked him to the bone, and that is not healthy. That being said, this game is. I'm seeing some of the review scores. I haven't read any reviews, but I've seen some numbers.
Yeah, same.
This game is going to also be one of the greats.
I'm positive.
Okay, I just want to say I've been excited for this game for years, and now that it's so close, I'm falling into the getting worried that it's not going to live up to my expectations.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, when we're recording this, today marks 7 years since the first game came out. And
Today?
Yeah, today is the day it came out 7 years ago. Yeah. And I played this back in 2013. I didn't play it when it first came out. I remember my sister played it first, and then she told me to play it, and then I tried playing it once, and then I stopped early on because it's kind of a hard game if you're not like that good at video games.
I'm not.
Yeah. And when I first played it, I was new to the PlayStation. It was the first PlayStation game I tried to play, and so I was terrible. I couldn't shoot anyone, and I kept dying. So then I waited a little bit, right? I played a few more games. I waited a few months, and then I think I played it towards the end of 2013. I don't know. I know I played it like still pretty early on when it came out. And like I fell in love with it, and it has been my favorite video game since. And I remember always just like being like, they have to make a second one. I know they're going to. I remember when they announced the second one, I was in Disneyland. Like, I remember I was in line for Autopia, and I saw it on my phone, and I like started freaking out. And none of my friends in high school play video games, so they were all just looking at me because this was a high school trip for our band to Disneyland, and they were all just like, "What are you freaking out about?" I was like, "The Last of Us Part 2," and like, just ever since then, I've been like so hyped for this game and so excited, and it's like, there's just so much for it to live up to, and I think it will, but it's that little nervousness of what if it doesn't.
I think it will, and it's definitely scary to think that it might not. We're like a week away, 5 days away.
5 days,
yeah.
It's hard.
And like I'm a huge Terminator fan. T1 and T2 are like my favorite movies of all time. Terminator Dark Fate recently came out. I was so excited for that. That was a terrible movie. Well, it disappointed.
Yeah.
So disappointing. And so I'm just like scared of that happening with this, but I feel like I trust Naughty Dog to make this correct.
It's very fair. I think that fear is not unfounded. You know, it's hard to follow up one of the most like popular, you know, critically and in terms of units, games of all time. I mean, again, like Legend of Korra was a great show, but it wasn't as good as Last Airbender, and so it caught a lot of flack. But what could be, you know, Last Airbender is again one of, I think, the greatest shows of all time. And I think Last of Us is also one of the greatest games of all time. Again, not perfect, but I think it is absolutely brilliant. And so I don't think, I think it's in a unique place where they have earned, they've earned our sort of our respect and they've earned optimism. But also, I think you're right, Kaylin, to remember that it's coming after this brilliant first game, and it's hard to follow up.
It's also coming out after so many years of waiting, right? Like this is clearly something that this is clearly something that they're putting a lot of thought into. Like that is only making me more confident in the quality.
Exactly. And Neil Druckmann at one point said that he wasn't going to make another game unless he felt there was a story that they could tell that did the first game justice. So the fact that they're not just making this for money, that they're making this because they found a story that was worth telling, gives me hope.
There is art there. There is passion there. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think it's hard to not have those things when you're telling such an emotionally complex narrative like that. But you know, speaking of fear and also hope, what's something that you guys are most scared of happening in the game, or alternatively most excited to have, like what you think might happen that you really want?
Well, I mean, they've talked about this being like a darker story, and this being about like revenge and hatred. So one of my fears is they're gonna kill Dina off at the beginning, and this is gonna be a revenge story for Ellie. And I've already grown attached to Dina. So I'm scared they're gonna kill her off, and I don't want that to happen. My hope for that is that she gets kidnapped or something, and it's a story of like Ellie trying to find her and like finds her at the end, and then they're reunited and it's happy.
I loved The Last of Us when I played it. I really didn't like the ending at a glance. When I played that game, I thought it was unfulfilling. But the more I thought about it and the more I read about it, I really came to appreciate sort of the depth of character that was there. The last moment, I think the last word of the game is just Ellie just says, okay. When she asks Joel to promise her that they really didn't need Ellie for the cure, and he lies to her and says that they didn't. With this game, I am a little worried about the story. I'm not a lot worried about it, but I'm a little worried about it. I'm worried that, I mean, again, it seems like it's going to be a lot of Ellie alone. There are other characters that come in and go. I think one of the strengths of the game was the relationship between Joel and Ellie that was developing.
I totally agree. This is one of my fears too.
And so, again, maybe there will be people more in it than I thought, but I worry that it's going to be a lot of Ellie by herself and just being angry. And like, I want to see people being angry, but I worry that not having a partner there shows it to the audience less.
Yeah,
but I could be wrong.
Like you were saying, one of the things that made the first game so incredible was that connection between Joel and Ellie, and how we saw Joel change throughout the game because of his connection with Ellie. And just having Ellie there lightened up the mood. Like, we could have some terrible scene happening, and then she pulls out her pun book and makes some puns. And yeah, I'm definitely with you. A lot of the stuff they've shown, Ellie has been alone, and she's been just by herself on this journey. And I think that scares me, in the fact that, like, what if it doesn't have that same impact of like the humor breaking up these horrible moments? Because I think Ellie is a very humorous person. She's very funny. That's one of the things I love about her character. And I trust that like they've kept that up, even though it's been 5 years of still living in this horrible world. I feel like, I hope that they've kept that up, of like her having this humor and still being herself. But I'm scared that, like you said, it's just going to turn into this hatred story that we don't see that, and she just kind of gets lost.
Sure. Though, to be fair, if anybody can do it, it's Naughty Dog.
Yeah, I personally am not as scared about that outcome, because and this might be me living for Dungeons and Dragons, I like to see a character go low, like go to
that's
a really bad place.
Sure, for sure.
Just because almost always narratively they will hit that, and then it'll go up from there.
Yeah, and I think that could work if that's at the beginning of the game, and like very early on she hits that low point, and then we see her, like, because we see that part in the trailer where Joel, like, it's when they finally reveal Joel's face, from like, I think it was from E3 last year or something, or one of the State of Plays, and he's like, you thought I was going to let you do this alone. And it seems like this is the point he's finally joining her in the journey. And so my guess is this is like an end game type thing, where they're only showing us the first like 30 minutes of the movie, or like, first like 2 hours of the game, something like that, where we're not seeing very much of the entire thing. And then like Joel might join her later on. I don't know. That's Yeah,
I agree with Adriana. I think I do want to see, Ellie's descent. I want to see her kind of break bad, so to speak. And I don't need it to be a redemptive story necessarily. Like, it can be dark and heavy, and that's that. I just don't want it to be one note. And again, I'm not saying I think it will be. I just that's something I could see going wrong.
Yeah.
In terms of what
my fears with my baby.
Yeah.
In terms of what I'm really excited for, the game looks gorgeous.
God, the level of detail.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine, as I mentioned, a friend of mine worked on the game. He hasn't given me any details, but he's really talked up this museum level. And I'm excited to see that he worked on. And I'm really excited to see sort of something that a friend of mine has made, something that is like I know this person and now this art is impacting me.
That's exciting.
Yeah, that's really amazing.
I'm excited
And
to see the
Naughty
world.
Dog.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I'm excited to see this world again, get
Mhm.
another look into it, and I'm really excited to see Ellie and Dina's relationship.
Oh yeah. And I was gonna say, Naughty Dog has always been at the front of like creating these new challenges in video games. Like, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they were the first ones to like have a train level where you're like actually fighting on a train.
Uncharted 2.
And, like,
I don't know if it was the first, but it's
yeah.
like definitely.
It's
Oh, I love Uncharted.
Yeah, and like, but just with Uncharted 2, they created just this amazing train level. And like, yeah, you might be right. It might not be the first, but I think there was something about like the way they did it is like the first of something. I don't know. I could be completely wrong, but just that was so amazing. It was like nothing I had ever played before. And so just Naughty Dog just has this way of like creating combat situations and fights that we've never seen before and are so unique and new to us that make the game so interesting, and not just the story but also in the way we play it.
Yeah. I hope, I know I will, but I hope everyone takes the next 5 days to rewatch or replay. I personally do not have the skill to play The Last of Us or the console, so I'm gonna be watching, but we will only see what happens. I'm sure it's gonna be a wild ride, no matter what.
Totally. I know that was a great ending note, but I gotta throw one more thing in. Gruesome kills. The environmental kills are going to be gross, and I cannot wait.
And there's still a new level of zombies that we haven't seen.
Yeah,
there's gonna be something new.
The zombies in this game were nightmare fuel. You got
totally.
Yeah, no, it's like fantastic.
Like, they've said there's gonna be another class above bloaters, but they're keeping it a surprise from us. And I am so excited.
I am very sorry I ruined your outro with that.
Yeah, your outro was really beautiful.
That's okay. Friendship. We also still have to talk about what we're gonna do next time.
That's true. And while we're just ignoring her outro, I'm gonna add a little bit more in here. Because like we mentioned Uncharted, I do have faith in Naughty Dog to make good sequels. Like, Uncharted itself was a great game, but then I feel like every game after that keeps building on it. Like, Uncharted 4 was amazing. I think that was the best Uncharted game.
I agree.
Yeah, and so that just gives me faith in Naughty Dog's ability to build off of these stories and not just do it for money and like create like a sequel that's not great, you know?
It's also taking all of my willpower to not gush about my favorite voice actors that are in these games. I think it just does something really good. I mean, as overworked and stressed, as unhealthy as the gaming industry can be, I think it's only a positive when you have so many passionate people. And we love them. We don't mind waiting. Sometimes, that's okay. But it's happening soon, and so excited.
That's a great sentiment. All right.
It's been fun, guys.
Okay, so everybody, thank you guys so much for listening.
Okay, everyone, we're loving it. We love you.
God damn it.
This has been fun. We love you all. Stay safe. See you next week.